Hello, folks. This is Joe from My Geek Scene. I'm here with Cherami Leigh. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. We crossed paths once at JFAX, and, you were busy, and I was busy that weekend, so we had to reschedule for this, and I'm glad that we were able to do this. So, how was your time at JFAX?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it was so fantastic. It was so great to get to finally go to Grand Rapids. My aunt used to be the registrar at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. So that was my first time getting to see where she worked. I mean, obviously I've seen pictures, and I have a couple of pieces from local artists that have had exhibits in the museum that she sent me and thought that I would connect with. Actually be at the museum in the flesh and get to meet all of the anime fans. It was kind of like a beautiful family meets work vacation kind of a trip. So it was lovely.
Well, that's excellent. Did you get to explore a little bit any more of Grand Rapids?
A little bit. It was perfect timing for the convention to be that weekend because it was also the arts festival. So I got to walk around and meet a couple of local artists that were there, and organizations that were just sharing their time and their experiences in the community. And so I got to walk around downtown a little bit and obviously see the Grand Rapids. Talked to a couple of people who are on the tourism board, and they gave me a couple of tips. I didn't get to see the President Ford Museum, nor did I get to go to the public museum, even though they were having a really cool toy exhibit. So next time, as you can tell, I'm really into museums. I love getting to travel to different cities, learn about the beautiful people and incredible stories of what built that city up. Art museums and just any museum in general. It's really fun to get to learn about the different cities and different stories that exist within those cities.
For the folks at home who don't know what Cherami does, she's a voice actress, a writer, a producer, and just an all-around cool person. She's Sailor Venus from Sailor Moon Crystal, Suzaha from Steins Gate and Steins Gate Zero, and Asuna from Sword Art Online. I mentioned Steins Gate Zero just a moment ago. So what were your thoughts on Steins Gate Zero? Because Suzaha definitely had more screen time the second time through.
Yeah, Suzaha had more screen time, and also Suzaha's mom, Yuki. So it was wonderful to get to go back and voice Suzaha again. I love that character. I love the show Steins Gate as a whole. I think it's a genius concept, but then getting to add from the first season of Steins Gate and now introducing Suzaha's mom and finding that delicate balance was a very unique challenge, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did enjoy both series. I meant for a past interview, I think it was on Tyson Reinhardt, and I'm sorry for being Mr. Name Dropper on that one. I decided to watch the show, and I was like, wow, this is a really cool show. And then I decided to watch the second season, for Tyson again, and I was like, oh, well, Cherami Leigh's in this, and I'm hoping to interview her one of these days, so definitely watch that, and it totally worked out.
Yay! Well, cool.
Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was actually a radio drama that you were a part of, the Hidden Frequencies radio drama show, and you played a character named Amanda on the Stash episode. See, I enjoyed your performance from that story because initially I thought you were just going to be a minor character, but I was wrong when the whole thing played out. So it's not necessarily a question. I just wanted to say I liked your performance from that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was really fun. Mick put all of that together, and I actually met him at a convention in New Zealand, and then he asked if I'd like to be a part of it. And so one night, I know Max was in it, and Michael and Addison, and we all got to go hang out in this fun studio in someone's garage and record this little episode, and it was so much fun to work on.
Thank you for introducing me to the Hidden Frequencies show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mick does a great job. They're all really fun, and I'm hoping there are some more interactive ways that he'll be able to maybe bring them to conventions or do things like that. That would be really, really cool for people to see it live.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. You mentioned your aunt and working with the art museum, and you were a self-professed art history nerd. So are there any pieces of art that speak to you, or are there certain pieces that you find fascinating from a historical point of view?
So many. I think my favorite artist is Monet, and my favorite painting from Monet is the water bridge from the or the Japanese water bridge from the lilies and that beautiful garden scene that was from his backyard. My aunt gave me the book. It's like a child's intro to Monet. And I remember looking at those paintings being like, this is ideal. I would love to live by this garden. And this is so beautiful. And it felt like a fairy utopia. So that was the first thing that I drew when I was 7. And I gave it to my aunt. And she hung it in her office in the museum until she passed away. And so now I have that piece. And I just went to the Art Institute of Chicago and bought a print of the original Japanese water bridge painting. It was a very full circle moment. It was really cool. And I don't know what it is about bridges, but I've always, especially that bridge in particular in that picture, I feel like so much of my life and my career as an actor and different things in my experience have given me perspectives to be able to see and know people on both sides of bridges. And then I feel often like I'm connecting to altering perspectives or different types of people. And so I've always connected with bridges in that way, being able to, I guess, be able to see both sides of the equation. So I love that visual and I love that dynamic. And I think as an actor, you're definitely able to feel like a bridge to the audience of telling them your story and the character that you're portraying, but also trying to reach out and connect with people who maybe don't understand what life might be like for someone else. And that's what's great about entertainment. It can expose ourselves, people, to a different perspective on living life.
That's a good segue into like the next topic that I wanted to talk to you about, your Love and Light panels. So I have a good idea of what they're about, but what are your Love and Light panels about?
Doing a show on an app called Unlocked, and Bryce Papenbrook and Dave Vincent created this app and came to me and said, we want a place to offer content and connect fans with voice actors and cosplayers and actors and YouTubers. And we would like you to create a show for us if that's something you'd like to do. And Dave said, I know that you've always focused on being positive, and you say that that's a big part of your life and how you've been able to get through the tough times in the industry or the tough times in your experience. Would you like to do a positivity show? And I said, that's actually something I've always wanted to do because I feel like there's so much negativity and cynicism in the world, and sometimes that's what's touted as being cool, and being super positive and super upbeat and having like a Pollyanna sensibility isn't always the coolest thing to do, and it's often seen as naive. And I wanted to try to turn that around and make it more approachable and say, like, we're all humans and make everything perfect, and we're not going to change anything overnight, but a little bit at a time, if we're focusing on what we're grateful for or feeling positive about, or finding little nuggets of wisdom or funny things that we can connect with and share with other people in our daily lives, allow us to connect with other human beings. It's a way of spreading love and creating a more loving environment around us and on the planet that we live in, and also sharing our light, which is like our essence, what makes us unique, that spark within each person that can never be replicated, that only we have. And so that's why on all of my autographs I sign the words love and light, because that is what I want people to feel, and that is what I want people to experience when they're at a convention or when they're interacting with other people, is feeling like they're safe and they're feeling loved and supported, but they're also feeling like their inner essence and their light is just a little bit brighter, and they can shine and feel confident and be proud of who they are, because there's only one person like them in the world. So in the Love and Light panels, I'll share experiences of characters that I've connected with, and how my characters have helped me get over dark growing experiences in my life, or moments of rejection that I've experienced. I talk about auditions and roles that I actually didn't get cast in, and how that ended up being better for me, or terrible auditions that I had that actually came from those experiences, so that people can maybe see their life in a different light and realize we all get frustrated and things don't always seem to go our way, but we can always put a different spin on from a different angle, that it might be a blessing in disguise.
I can agree with that. I've had some setbacks before in the past, and like especially like with interviews. Like I've had one event, unfortunately, the interviews it fell through, and then I was actually actually able to take those interview questions and revise them and make them into stronger and better interviews. And I had better times. And it sucked at the time when the stuff fell through, but when it came back, I was like, this is way better than what I had planned originally. So can't really complain about that. It's like always picking yourself up off the ground once you get knocked down.
Totally. Exactly.
When I was doing research on you, during one video of your Love and Light panel, you mentioned that you would listen to music that takes you to another world as one of the ways to distress. So what groups or artists do you listen to?
Yeah, I listen to so many different artists, and I've had friends that will listen to or look over my playlist, and they're like, this is nuts. Like, you have country music on here, you have Broadway music, rock music, you have metal music on here, you have rap, you have like old songs from the 70s. I mean, like, I love, I've got 50s music on there. I have some stuff that I found like from 20s, 1930s. If it's just a song that I listen to and it evokes an emotion and I feel like it takes me to a different place, or I'm channeling a different part of myself that's either making me feel confident or making me feel more reflective or making me feel at peace. I feel like my emotional state often needs different things to work through what I'm dealing with in my life. So my playlists are all over the place, or really, really evocative lyrics that make me think. And then, of course, I've got a lot of Disney songs on there too, because everybody loves a little bit of Disney.
Okay. Well, you did mention metal when you're listing all the genres. Are there any particular bands that you enjoy from the metal genre? Because I'm a huge metalhead, actually. Sorry if I'm putting you on the spot.
I can't even... Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, what... I haven't been listening to any of that lately. I really put a lot of that stuff on there when I was playing a character in Beyond the Farthest Star, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head there was one artist that I think I like looped that song, and for those like 3 years I would always like reflect back to it, and I can't remember. I'll have to email you. I'll look it up and I'll email you what the song was, and but I had like 5 or 6 songs from their album, and I remember listening to this going, man, I never would have thought that I would have liked this. Like in playing that character, that brought out like a different side of me, and I really gravitated toward their music, but I haven't listened to it recently, so I don't remember the name. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Are you familiar with the band Magna Carta Cartel?
No, I'm not familiar with them, actually.
Oh, okay. They play like really, it's like dreamlike and ethereal music, actually. One of the members used to be in a band called Ghost, which is a very popular band nowadays. Magna Carta Cartel, especially their Good Morning Restrained album. I think it probably would be up your alley. I could send you a link to that. I'll tweet it out to you or something. But yeah,
please do.
I would highly recommend Magna Carta Cartel. Solid band. But
cool, that sounds awesome.
Since we're on music, best concerts that you've been to?
Oh, this is so lame. I actually have not been to many concerts at all. The first concert that I went to was my 13th birthday, and my 2 aunts took me to see NSYNC. And then I obviously went to various, like, concerts for shows and stuff, but they weren't like concerts for school and things like that, but they weren't like really notable bands or artists that I'm really super interested in. And then for the 4th of July 2 years ago, my husband and I went to a concert at the Hollywood Bowl, which was really fun. And we've talked about going to see Train. I would love to see Sarah Bareilles in concert. I saw Waitress live, and Jason Mraz was performing. So it'd be great to see them in a concert. But I really haven't gone to many concerts. It's so sad. I'm like too busy working, I guess.
I guess it's part of those first world problems, but
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad that you're actually able to. That's a good reason to miss out on concerts, but you're definitely going to have to get some onto your belt.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to go to more concerts. We're just usually, as soon as we get home from work, we record auditions late into the night, go to sleep, get up the next morning, and get ready to do it all over again.
Fair enough. I hear how it goes. Are there any particular favorite books by Gabby Bernstein, Marianne Williamson, or Elizabeth Gilbert that you like?
Oh, yeah. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert is amazing. Gabby Bernstein, I read a book by her called Spirit Junkie, which is fantastic. And then there's another author who wrote a book called Light is the New Black, which is fantastic. Her name is Rebecca. I cannot remember the last name. I'm trying to see if it's on my bookshelf right now. But I read May Cause Miracles by Gabby Bernstein, which is amazing. Marianne Williamson wrote a book called Everyday Grace, which I thought was really, really lovely. And she brings in a lot of like magic and makes the world of spirituality and finding your light seem really attainable, and almost referencing a lot of like Hogwarts and magic and fairies and a lot of that fun stuff. So I thought that was lovely. And I actually was coming back from a convention and ended up, just by a chance of fate, sitting next to Marianne Williamson on the plane. And we talked about some of the scripts that I was working on and some of the things that she was working on with her books, and getting discouraged, and how you move on and move past that. So that was really unique. And she told me, I want you to check out a book that I wrote called Remember Your Love. And I was like, okay, great, I'll go find it. And I went to a bookstore to go look for it. And it had been sitting on the counter. And this woman was like, oh, it just fell off the shelf. I was about to put it back on. I was like, no, that's the book that I came here to get. And then The Light is the New Black is written by an author named Rebecca Campbell. And she also wrote a book called Rise, Sister, Rise, which are great as well.
Oh, nice. Are you working on a book yourself?
I'm not working on a book myself. I'm just writing a bunch of scripts for TV pilots and films and things like that, but not writing a book.
Okay. And I know that you're a big fan of inspirational quotes. So
yeah.
Are there any recent quotes that have had an impact on you? Because I know you like to post a lot of inspirational quotes, but are there any recent ones that are standing out to you?
I definitely am always finding inspirational quotes. I have multiple calendars where there's like a quote or an affirmation a day. And then I have a bunch of decks of cards. So actually, I'll pull out one of the decks of cards and pull out a quote, and we'll see which ones we get. This is a Gabby Bernstein deck. The universe has your back. And the quote that is on the front card is, you are the dreamer of your dream. So let go and trust that your dream will guide the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's something to ponder on,
that's
actually.
Just the first one that popped up.
Do you draw inspiration from the lyrics too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's some of my favorite songs are, I mean, it's always, the catchy songs are always fun, but I like to listen to songs where there's lyrics that can be metaphors for things that I can apply in my life, or things that make me think through some things. I know my mom would always listen to Leon Russell. And so she was saying, like, there's a song called, I think it's Magic Mirror. And I remember she played that for me when I was 8 years old, and said, I remember this was always something I was pondering when I was a teenager. Is the song is all about, if there's a magic mirror, how different people would perceive you. And if you saw that mirror, you would see how other people perceived you. Some people see you as a teacher. Some people see you as a student. Some people see you as someone to look up to. Some people see you as someone who's a slacker and not doing everything that they need to do. And it's just all about perception. And I remember when I listen to that song, I'm occasionally like, man, I wonder how different people perceive me in different avenues of my life. And so that's just one example of a song that the lyrics still, as you get older and as you keep listening to it, the meaning evolves as your life evolves.
I totally agree on that one. Since I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge metalhead. There was this group back in the day called Burning Witch, and they were like into doom metal, and the vocalist sounded very miserable. So it was like my form of the blues. And one of the lyrics that stood out to me was, separate from your life those that bring you pain. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's like putting up boundaries and everything. It just spoke so much to me.
You cut out when you said what the band's name was. But when you said separate from those, that's the lyric. That's one of the lyrics that I remember from the song that I was listening to, the metal song that I was listening to when I was in that film. That was one of the first songs I picked for that playlist for that character. So I think that is the band. Wait,
Burning Witch is the band?
Maybe that was the band that I was listening to.
Was it Burning Witch?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. That was the song that was on my playlist because the character is feels like she's causing everyone in her life pain and nobody's talking to her. And so she just feels very left out. And so she just wants to disconnect and wants to leave and just wants to free them. So that was actually the first song that I picked to put on that playlist for that character. And that was, that's the album.
The Crippled Lucifer album from Burning Witch?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a deep cut right there. I was not expecting that. But no, I got into Burning Witch a long time ago because of like bands like Sun. So I was going down the Southern Lord record label albums, their catalog, and I was like Burning Witch, and like one of my friends was like he's like, dude, you'll like this, you'll like this. And I'm like, okay. And like the vocalist Edgy59 was like, this dude's so miserable. I'm not that miserable, but I was like, I can look at this as my form of the blues, as I mentioned earlier. And like I said, separate from your life those that bring you pain. I was like,
yep,
that speaks to me. And that's why I've always, because I read a book a long time ago that was important to me. I don't remember the name of it, but it taught me about boundaries, because back in the day, I used to be a complete pushover. And then I was like, wait a minute, people can't treat me the way that they want to. And I was like, a light bulb went on, and I was like, amazing. So I went from being a complete pushover to dude who doesn't take shit from anybody. And now I'm just trying to find a happy balance, because you can only go one extreme for so long. You gotta find a happy balance. And then, like, music just speaks a lot to me, and I just love it. And like I said, when I heard that song, I was like, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and the thing is, I would not have found that song or been exposed to that artist had I not been playing that character at that time. And because I was trying to connect with that part of me, to channel that character. I don't even know how I stumbled on that song, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then I started listening to a couple of other songs. So I think I have like 5 songs from that album on my playlist. But that was the first one I found. So it's so funny that you brought that up.
Wow. That's a deep cut that I was not expecting in an interview, but I'm always surprised whenever I'm talking to people, especially when it comes to music.
Yeah.
Most excellent.
No, totally. Music is fantastic.
Oh, I love music. It's the greatest thing for me. It really is. If I had to choose, it's like I'm always torn. Like if I had to choose between losing my sight or losing my hearing, I'm like, I don't know, man. I really don't know.
I can't even imagine that. I don't know what I would do. I love color so much, and I love to read, and I can't imagine what it would be like not seeing a sunset, but not being able to hear music, or since so much of what I do is voices, and I love just hearing voices. And like today I was working on a game. I have no idea who I was working with. I don't know the other voices, but I remember just listening to them, and you can hear so much about these people and the character just from the unique sound of their voice. And just to think that I would have to give one of those 2 things up would be indescribably painful.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I wasn't going to ask you that one. That's this. I mean, like, I try to aim for questions or topics that most people don't talk about, but I'm never going to ask you, like, oh, what sense would you like to lose? I mean, if I really had to pick one, I guess I would lose the sensation in my left pinky fingertip at best. Everything else is fine. Everything works. I can deal without that for the rest of my life. So another topic that I wanted to talk to you about was comedy, because you've had a lot of roles in comedic shows / movies like Pop Team Epic, Backstreet Girls, Goku Dolls, Not Cool, and CONFessionals. So
yes,
any comedic influences for your live action roles or your comedy roles in general?
I mean, some of my favorite actresses, I love Reese Witherspoon. I think she's great with high energy comedy. Sandra Bullock is another favorite of mine. As far as like cartoon references for comedy, Christine Cavanaugh, and she also did on-camera work as well on Nickelodeon when I was a kid, and of course voiced iconic cartoon characters. She is definitely someone that I love. I love Amy Poehler. I love Tina Fey. I think Kate McKinnon is hilarious. Gilda Radner is hilarious. I guess I love characters that are able to find the connection of like the childhood innocence and that high energy, fun, bubbly quality, and also mixing it with some nice dark humor and finding the balance in between, because I think everybody has those polar opposites. And if you're able to like ride that roller coaster of comedy with the darkness and the heavier the heavier content with also some really light-hearted, sweet humor. It's a perfect balance that relates to everyone and that everyone can enjoy. That's probably what I try to find in comedy. And also, you can always find comedy in the most sad, dark times in your life. That's when everybody needs it the most. So being able to bring that dynamic of anger mixed with comedy, or finding the comedy in anger, or a sadness or anything like that, I think that's really fun to explore. So I always look for opportunities to do that.
Okay. Now I will apologize for this one, because one of the questions I avoid asking is, what was it like to be on this show? But I'm legit interested in, because I watched Backstreet Girls' Goku Dolls, and I thought that was hilarious. Really hilarious, especially the hemorrhoid episode, and you played Mari.
Yes.
What was it like to be on that show? I apologize for that question, but I'm legit interested in this because I haven't really heard anyone talk to you about that show in any of the interviews and the numerous panels that I've watched.
Yeah, I mean, I knew a little bit about how, I guess, crazy and dark the humor was going to be, but really know until you're in it. And I think if I had any director other than Chris Bevins, I would not have felt as comfortable. But I've known Bevins for so long, and so I trusted that he was going to take care of me in that situation, because the things that those characters are going through as men that are now living as women is just crazy. So you had to get into a headspace of, okay, if I were a man that is now functioning with a female voice, would these situations be as crazy? I've never heard women say those things, but I have heard men say those things. So it was kind of finding that balance and also towing the line. And that show is just so far in a direction of which I think a lot of people aren't comfortable seeing women say those things or play characters that way. And so, like I said, it was great having Chris there to kind of figure out how we were going to toe the line and go over the line just enough that it would be the shock that show wanted to get from the audience, but also not too far that it was like offending people. I'm sure many people were offended by that show, as people get offended by any form of media because everybody has different opinions, and what is one person's cup of tea will not be someone else's cup of tea. As far as would that have been a show that I would have gravitated towards if I did not audition for it, and if Bevins had not been like, hey, I really would love to work with you on this, maybe not, but it was really fun to work on. Definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. I felt awkward so many times doing it, but while you're there, you're like, look, this is a unique situation that these characters are in, and so I should feel like I'm in a unique place while recording it.
Excellent. Now, another comedy series that you were a part of, but I could not find anything outside of a trailer, was Real Dudes with Ian Sinclair. I could not find that show at all. I tried. I was willing to purchase that just to watch it, just for research purposes. And plus, I like Ian Sinclair. He's a good dude. So,
oh, yeah.
Another live action thing that you did that I enjoyed was Not Cool. I think you really nailed the part of the cynical and jaded Tori, and it certainly seemed like you had a lot of fun filming the movie.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. So feel free to talk about your experience during the film.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, that was my first time working with Shane Dawson, and I think that he had a very unique experience being filmed by a reality crew, as the chair was documenting the making of both that film and Holidaysburg. That was a unique experience, and then his life is on display while he's trying to balance his YouTube career and direct a movie and star in the movie. And I thought it was going to be kind of awkward and that I would feel left out of the process and feel like a lone ranger. But he integrated me into every part of the process and made me feel very, very comfortable. I told him, I was like, I don't want to do any nudity and I don't want to do any of, he was like, that's fine. Anything that, you're not comfortable with, we'll get doubles for. So that's what happened for the incline scene. And he's like, we're not going to worry about anything else. So he made sure that I was totally safe and taken care of and never felt like I was like that my morals or my integrity was being compromised, which was wonderful to work on, especially with such a crazy movie like that. It's hard for a lot of people to believe that there was so much heart and so much care and that they took so paid so much attention to each and every actor on that set to make sure that they felt comfortable and safe, which is not what you would think of when you think of Not Cool and all of its crazy over-the-top comedy. But yeah, it was really fun to work on. And yeah, I'm glad you brought up Real Dudes. That was the very first time I met Ian.
Oh,
and I wish that happened. Something had happened further with that series. I know I saw, I believe, all of the episodes, the webisodes, and then the pilot at a festival, like a web series festival. But I haven't seen any of it since then. I loved working on that. I loved that entire crew and that cast. And I remember every day I left set, I was like, man, I wish I could hang out with these guys every day. I hope this series gets picked up because I want to hang out with these guys every single day. They're so funny, and they really felt like, my older brothers that had my back, which I've never had an older brother. I have a baby brother, so it was very fun to work.
So what was the show about then, since I couldn't find anything anywhere?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the premise of Real Dudes is it's three guys, the dudes. One of the guys played by Matt Moore is my older brother. So I live in an apartment with him, and I'm like 17, 18 years old. He and his three friends are like in their 20s, like coming over to the house. Aaron Holloway played one of the guys, and then Ian Sinclair played the other friend, and they're constantly coming in, and they decide that they want to make a movie, and that's how they're going to be successful. So they are the real REEL dudes trying to make a movie. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea how to budget, and it's the comedy ensuing in them trying to get this movie made and all of the drama that will happen to make this film festival. And I'm the sister Penny that's along for the ride and may not have a crush on one of the guys and that sort of thing. So it was a lot of fun.
Okay. And as we're heading into the final topic of this interview, something that looked like a lot of fun, you had produced and acted in CONFessionals. What did you learn from the series?
Yeah. Well, we actually decided we were brainstorming on the way back from a convention about wouldn't it be funny if we had all these alter egos, and that would make a great web series. And we sat on it for, 3 or 4 years. And then my husband and director and actor said, this is a great idea. I don't want to sit on this anymore. I know you want to write it, but if you're not going to write it, I would like to have your blessing to write it. I developed all the characters with him and kind of created the concept for the show, and then he kind of went to town and wrote all these great episodes and created the arc. And then I was like, well, there's no way we're going to be able to get this made. I don't know how we're going to be able to produce something at a convention. We can't afford to do this. And then we had a manager that was saying, well, have a convention that wants to book you. And I asked them if you could film a web series about a convention there. And they said, yeah, absolutely. We will help you with everything that you need to bring us out, and asked which cast that we needed. And they brought those people out as guests. And so we were doing all of our convention duties and filming at the same time. So it was interesting working as a producer and also having to balance my duties as an actor that was starring in the show, as well as a producer, and then also managing the convention, because that's why we were there. I didn't think that we were going to be able to get the rest of the budget together. And my husband was like, well, let's just do a Kickstarter. If the fans want it, cool. If they don't, they don't. I was like, well, their Kickstarter will never make enough money for us to get this done. And so we set the goal at like $15,000. And we reached our Kickstarter goal, and we were able to shoot the 5 episodes. And I said, well, now we have to find a cinematographer. Nobody's going to grow up with going to acting class with. And he's like, I can get a crew of 4 people and we can make it happen. And so we did. It was just a lot of things falling into the right place, the right time. And it seemed very magical putting it all together. It was definitely a learning experience working with my husband in that way and trying to balance time with us having fun and spending time together just as a couple, and then going into like work brain of like, how are we going to make this series? And then we took it to a film festival last year in October, and it was nominated for 7 awards, and we won 1. And we also got distribution on a platform called Sika TV. And so the show's on that now. And it was just such a wonderful experience getting to find out more about the web series world at this festival, and getting to celebrate all these other web series content creators and seeing all their shows and getting involved in that wonderful community. It's very much like the anime convention community, and that everybody is so supportive of each other's work, and we're ready to help in any way that we possibly can. So it was very fun to get to jump into that world as well.
Oh, I really enjoyed the show, and I like the fact that it seemed like you employed nothing but voice actors. Well, actors. You're all actors.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, you're all actors. So it was cool seeing little cameos of people who've provided voices for many characters in many shows that we've all enjoyed over the years and stuff like that. Good job.
Yeah, it was really the first time a lot of us have gotten to work together. I mean, our voices have worked together, but we rarely get to see each other. So this was also an excuse for us to actually get to act together and be in the same room together, which was great.
I wasn't a big fan of Riley as a person. I mean, I enjoy your work, don't get me wrong, but like Riley, I was like, I would not be interested in meeting you as a person whatsoever.
Yeah, no, Riley was the worst. She was really, 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 really aggressive, but she's fun to play. But I was like, man, I hope people don't think that I'm like this in real life as well, because that would be terrible.
I do like when both your stalker and K. Mickey Malcolm's stalker were having pretty much a stalk off about who's the better stalker of the two. So
that scene almost didn't happen because Walter, the actor who plays Walter in the web series, was actually a production assistant, and he's a friend of ours that flew out just to help us with convention stuff, and so to help John produce and direct the show. And the actor that we had cast to play Walter originally, Paul Walter Hauser, who is now in Late Night and was in the Black Klansman and I, Tanya, he called, I guess, 2 days before we were supposed to shoot that scene, which was the final scene of the weekend at the convention, and said, guys, I'm so sorry. There's no way I'm going to make it. I just booked this movie with Allison Janney and Margot Robbie, and I'm flying to Georgia tomorrow to start rehearsals and begin filming. And it ended up being I, Tanya, and the cast was nominated for an Academy Award. And he was like, I hate to do this to you, but I'm not going to be able to make it. And we were like, of course, you've got to go do the movie. This is huge, and we're so excited for you. And his career is taking off, and he's an incredible actor and an incredible guy. So I'm so happy for him. But we ended up saying, like, who is going to play Walter? What are we going to do? And we were sitting there, and we're like, Kyle would actually be great. So that's how we got the Walter that we got in CONFessionals. It's just another example of things working out the way they were supposed to. I know Paul would have been fantastic, but Kyle was there. He did a brilliant job, and he stepped in at the last minute and made that scene what it is.
Excellent. Any word on a season 2? Because I know at the end of the series, it was like a little bit of a teaser of potentially what's to come.
Yeah, well, a season 2 would be great. I know John's been working on episodes in the hopes that we get to do one, but I had wanted to do a season 2 only if we got funding from another source. I did not want the fans to have to fund it.
Fair enough.
I don't know if we'll be able to find funding, and so I've had fans that are like, please just do another Kickstarter so that we can bring this season to life. I mean, everybody's schedules are crazy. I don't know if we would ever be able to make it work again, but I didn't think we were going to get to make it work the first time, so I will never say never, but there are no immediate plans for a season 2 right now.
That's fair. So as we're wrapping this up, I do have my final 3 questions. So what's new that you would like to talk about that you are allowed to talk about?
I'm working on more episodes of Fairy Tale, more episodes of Strike Witches, working on Boruto. I had so much fun working on the final season of the Walking Dead game, playing like the big bad villain in that. I'm working on Cells at Work for Aniplex, playing Red Blood Cell, which is really fun. And then, of course, there are some other projects that I'm working on that I'm in like the thick of right now that I cannot talk about. There's some really fun projects on the horizon. Once I can share, I will be super stoked to share them with everybody.
No, absolutely. So if people wanted to find you more online, where could they go?
I'm on Twitter at Cherami Leigh. I'm on Instagram at CLK Star, and I'm on Facebook. I think it's just facebook.com/Cherami Leigh.
Okay. And final question, what would you like to say to all your fans throughout the years?
Thank you guys for the support and for watching everything and for being so open-minded and receptive to the many different characters that I've gotten to play and for embracing them and embracing as well. I never would have thought when I started working on voiceover that I would get to travel the world and meet so many different people and get to hear how they've connected with the characters in the shows. And it never feels any less magical. It never feels any less surreal. And I am grateful every single day, and I'm inspired by every single person that I get to meet. And so it really, really is a joy to get to do this, and getting to meet them and hear how they respond to the stories makes it be better.
Well, Cherami, thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
No problem. Folks, this is Joe from My Geek Scene with Cherami Leigh. Take it easy.